Hello, this is Manu Segura from Tuxedo Games. We are building new games for all consoles, and you are listening to Scene World Podcast.
Yes. Hey, it is the Scene World Podcast. I am being me. He is being him. My
Awesome.
camera is drifting over time. And yes, this is the Scene World Podcast. In a minute, we will be talking with Allison, the head of marketing for Kunlun, which is putting out Club Koala in China. And we'll be looking for an international release to the U.S. and Europe as well. Before we do that, though, Jurg's looking in wonder because normally he does all this because he knows exactly who we're talking to, but
I deleted my notes before this recording.
Also, I did some background research before this, so I knew what the hell we were doing. So
awesome.
So yeah. Before we do that, though, we got some news. I don't know who wants to start, or if we may have the same news. So I don't know.
Well, though, first news: the Women of Gaming organization released their manifesto about non-toxicity in gaming when women are involved. And just the other day, I was playing the new Counter-Strike 2, which totally replaced CSGO. And I was playing it with a friend. And as soon as people in the voice chat noticed that she was female, there were comments like, "Die, bitch," and stuff. So there's a post shared by Dina Zudorenko about it, and she is the co-founder of Gametree, the social network for gamers. And we had her in the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Together with John Uke, the other founder of Gametree.
Mm-hmm.
And we will link to that because I just noticed from my own experiences, women in gaming are still attacked, unfortunately. Which shouldn't be, but it is still a thing.
Yeah.
And it reminded me why I always switch off voice chat in multiplayer online games, because I can't stand those attacking people. And I asked her, like, how do you handle it? And she said, like, ignore it. But isn't it sad that you are a part of a voice chat where you fight against each other and you have to
isn't it sad where you have to ignore it? I mean, that's the shitty thing. It's like you shouldn't have to.
Right.
You shouldn't have to ignore that. You shouldn't have to put up with it to begin with. That's garbage.
And then, of course, half of the other conversation was like, speak English, because people were shouting in other languages. I'm like, come on, seriously. Never mind. Anyway, it's important. But it's not only Counter-Strike 2. No.
This is across the board.
It happened to me that I was playing Among Us with somebody from Chile, and we were on the North American server, right?
Oh, don't go on those at all. Those are disasters.
And when people notice that my friend is Spanish speaker because of the grammar errors she did, people switched to Spanish and was like, guys, can we please stick to English? Because I'm not getting a thing, And they're like,
well, at least they were kind enough to switch to Spanish when they realized that she wasn't a native English speaker. But
which is bullshit because I'm not a Spanish speaker. That's why you speak English.
But it was a that wasn't a an act of impropriety or being mean or anything like that. That was trying to accommodate someone.
Yeah.
And it just happened that it proved to be it put you at a disadvantage. But usually you would be like, yeah, I would expect them to yell at her for speaking Spanish or something.
Well, in Among Us, you don't speak, you type.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I got a bit of news here. If you
anyway, I'm not finished with the sentence yet.
Well, then carry on.
So no, I totally forgot what I wanted to say. Yes, but it also helps at places because a few months down the road, her Steam account got hacked. And I noticed it because for once I'm not chatting with people on Steam Chat because I think it's garbage. It's not a very good chatting system. Steam is for game, not for chatting.
Yeah.
But still, she started speaking to me in Spanish. And the first thing I did is I emailed her and sent her a message on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, your account is hacked," because I knew that she wouldn't even try speaking in Spanish with me. And it turned out on that time there was a wave of Mexican hackers hacking Latin American and Steam accounts.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously they make the wrong assumption that all the friends speak the same language as you speak yourself.
Of course.
Right? That's how society works.
Yeah.
And this is okay, your account is hacked. And of course, it was pretty rough to tidy up a once hacked account, because what is special about Steam, what I just learned is you can block somebody, unfriend somebody, and the other person can too do, and then you have to unblock a person from both sides. So somehow she got blocked on my side as well when she blocked me, and I had to unblock her manually as well. I go, wow, we took a few days to figure that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's just one thing. The other thing I want to mention before we switch to you is a second thing. John Draper did something, a third update to his groundbreaking CrunchCom project, which is now live on YouTube and can be watched. And connected to that is also he got a Patreon now, where you can get support and exclusive details. And the interesting thing is about this about those projects is he also got a panel with all those old hacker people on his YouTube, and even Steve Wozniak is part of one.
Really?
Yeah.
Steve Wozniak strikes me as the type of guy that is really cool and friendly and open. I bet we could probably get him on our podcast if we
already tried 8 times.
Oh, well.
His assistant always turned us down because he's too busy.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately,
that was his assistant. If we found him personally, I bet he probably
didn't work so far.
He seems like a really
but perhaps I can ask John about it.
There you go.
Obviously,
we got it in now.
Because he knows Steve personally, which is interesting because the reputation of John Draper, Mr. Crunch. Sorry, Mr. Crunch.
Mr. Crunch.
Captain Crunch, sorry. Captain Crunch or Crunch Man.
Dr.
Those-
Crunch.
Dr. Crunch, nice. Yeah, was always that he does a lot of talking and very little is happening. But hey, he surprised us with our books. With his book, which came out.
Yeah.
Now he has a panel where Steve Wozniak was part of. So he really, he really has those connections and possibilities. But he doesn't bring it across well sometimes.
Mhm.
When you talk to him and when you are surrounded by him, you always think like he is a very unorganized.
He's slightly, I would say, neurodivergent.
Yeah, but he still gets stuff done, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And I saw some of his presentations about spamming, email spamming, and spamming spammers back. Was like, oh my god, this is so brilliant.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Aside from his little flaws he has.
Yeah.
This man is brilliant. So anyway, now some news from your side.
Yes. So we've been talking the last couple of podcasts. We've been following the drama that is vintage is the new old, with the old website going down and then coming back as Commodore Blog and then coming back again as vintage is the new old, and now vintage is the new old has a magazine. It's a PDF. It basically sums up the month's articles, from the website with some vintage advertisements and stuff. So it feels like you're actually reading a magazine from the time. And it's available. It's free. It's on their website.
Awesome.
So you can download that, and it's. I was looking at it before. It's actually pretty cool looking.
Just for your info, when Commodore is awesome, was before vintage is the new old.
Yes,
Was actually starting as a project. John, our loved staffer, actually interviewed Kitty about her plans. So if you go in our archives at sceneworld.org and put it in the search, you will find a very early issue from the SceneWorld Disc Mag where we interviewed her.
Okay.
Sorry, where
Okay.
John interviewed her.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say, Kitty is a beast. She totally took over the project again.
Oh yeah.
But it's weird. I don't understand why was there no coordination. Like, hey, I give you permissions to my domain, and here is the WordPress installation, and now they had to shut down the old domain, get new domain, and getting the old stuff from an archive to re-import to WordPress.
What it seems like the guy that was
Paolo.
Paolo just kind of got real angry, and I guess there was some vitriol and some negative commenting on. I guess they were doing a writing contest or something.
Exactly.
And he just kind of really
got a short fuse
just got disgusted with the whole thing, and maybe he just kind of walked off and just left, and maybe there wasn't an issue where you could get in contact with him, because maybe he just cut everybody off, because that's what it seemed like was happening,
Which is something that will not happen with SceneWorld starting next year, because what people don't know, you also got shared access to. Yeah, you also got shared access to the web hosting. So if I ever go rogue, you and David can still control the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, for the people who are listening, we are again and hopefully once and for all switching to a new host, and this time we made sure we got unmetered traffic, unmetered web space, so now our podcast can grow without hitting boundaries. And we and our new provider is actually having a team access feature where it allows other people of a project like yourself and David, our webmaster, will have access to the web space as well. So fortunately, such things will not happen to us. If I ever go rogue, you and David still have control over the website. But if you remember, the same happened actually with Retropla, the German live stream project, where unfortunately one team member sent a fax to the domain provider and canceled it without asking its team members. Unfortunately. So somehow such things are not very uncommon. But I still think even if you are fed up and you don't want to be part of a project anymore and you have control over things like domains and web spaces, give access to the other people in your project. Be nice about it,
Yeah. The next bit I got here is that reshoot Proxima 3 looks like it's out.
Yes, it has been released 2 weekends ago at the Amiga 38 event.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at AmigaFuture.de. It's available for the download version. It's €29.95.
Euro. Yeah. Andreas Magel of Amiga Future magazine is the distributor for the game.
Yeah. And there's lots of stuff you can get. You can get the signature edition plus soundtrack. And then
the soundtrack, by the way, is done by Martin Amann.
Yes, our very own Martin Amann. Yes. The digital edition, which is an HD installation archive download with the soundtrack and an A1 size poster. There's lots of things you can get for this. We'll put a link to the to that page where you can purchase it.
Awesome.
That's pretty awesome. And what's the other thing I got here? Going along with games, Doom for the ZX Spectrum has been released.
But there was sorry, you're right. There was a Doom for the VIC-20.
Yes.
Not the ZX Spectrum.
Well, there's been a Doom for everything now at this point, I feel like.
Yeah. But
the
Doom,
one thing,
the Doom for Commodore 64 requiring a super CPU is not very famous.
Yeah, it's not right. But I mean, this is Doom on a ZX Spectrum 128K, and it doesn't require a super CPU. So, I mean,
the Spectrum has no super CPU.
Exactly. So I mean, like, honestly, really, if a Spectrum can do Doom, then
if a VIC-20 can do Doom,
if a VIC-20 can do Doom, somebody can make a C64 without a super CPU do Doom. I've seen it done in demos where not where you're fighting things, but just like, as a concept. So it's got to be able to be done, even chinsily, because I can, because the Spectrum doesn't have the quite the graphics thing that
but there used to be a competition in Great Britain. Whoever codes Doom will get £50,000. There's nobody who even applied to get the prize money.
I know. What's up with that?
So it would have been even a paid gig.
Right.
Nobody wanted the money. Everybody says it's too much work.
I don't know.
Alexa, how much is £50,000 in dollar?
£1,000 is $60,000 $5,799
Yeah, I'd
You
take
heard
it.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
Thank you,
take that.
Alexa.
He's got to be so.
Yeah. So you would have taken the $60,000.
Yeah.
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 Start
then-
coding. You are a coder.
But I'm not that good at coder. And then just a couple days ago, Evil Dungeon for the C64 has gotten a sequel, Evil Dungeon 2, from RetroArts. It's Evil Dungeon 2, Evil Dungeon 2, Alric's Revenge. It's a sequel to the game that was released just earlier this year. It's got good-looking graphics. It's got good-looking gameplay. It's your generic, it's kind of a, it's mostly programmed in BASIC, but it's a interesting dungeon crawler. It's got good packaging. It looks like from what I can see on this. If you get the physical version, if you don't get the download version, it's also available on itch.io. And
everything is available on itch.io nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, and the RetroArts website. So we'll put links to all that in the podcast description.
Awesome.
I'll throw it
I
back
got
to
more
you.
news.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got more news. Awesome. Yeah, well, let's continue with some sad news. I was wondering the other day why the GameBase 64 has no downloads of games anymore, right? And why it's generally not updated and very static. And there was an announcement on Games That Weren't homepage that the reason for the GameBase 64 not having any downloads or updates anymore is the webmaster unfortunately died.
Oh, that sucks.
If you know GameBase 64 as a project, they were the first and only project to archive all Commodore 64 games, all of them, even the ones that are illegal or something.
Right,
and
right.
You could get the database via torrents over DVD images or download games from their homepage.
Right.
And now you can't anymore because the webmaster died. So they need a new webmaster. They need a new web space. And yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
If you are one of them who can provide that service, talk to them because they are a very amazing project. I even participated myself in the way that I supplied a better working version of Turbo Outrun Europe.
Right.
Sorry,
right.
Outrun Europe. It's called Outrun Europe. Sorry, Outrun Europe.
Yeah.
And if you downloaded the Outrun Europe release, they even kept my bad English grammar from the email I sent them as a note about the game release. So you can even have a look at my awful English before I was good at the language. That was probably around 2005 or something. Anyway, pretty bad. On the other bad news is Ray Carlson announced to retire from Commodore repair.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, so he will no longer repair Commodore things.
I'm hoping that he will have imparted his knowledge into somebody else that can take over that.
Or somebody of the original engineers from Commodore will provide the info.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, Ray Carlson has always been very good at providing the information.
I know.
You know, like he's put out, like basically repair manuals on how to do a lot of this stuff. So, I don't see, hopefully he'll still be available for some of that stuff. I don't know, but yeah, that would be nice to. It's a shame to lose him because he's been such a figure in the scene
I know.
as far as repairing it. Repairs go, and whatnot.
Oh my god, I'm such an idiot.
What?
I tried to drink from my Pepsi bottle and I forgot to unscrew the lid.
Womp womp.
Whoop, whoop.
It happens to all of us.
Uh, well, normally I don't have breakfast during a news recording.
Yeah,
but
this is an early morning thing. So for anyone who is unaware, this is extremely early morning for me. I don't know what it is for him, but yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, more news.
More news. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I've got.
Daisy Mansion released a new math game called Magic Math.
Oh, okay.
It can be downloaded for free on the CSDB.
Magic Math.
Yeah, which is interesting because I would have guessed that games like this would be removed because it has no demo scene reference. But hey, CSDB is sometimes a bell with many whistles, right? As you figured yourself already. I still like how we did this feature article in one of our Scene World issues and nobody gave any feedback.
Yeah, well, what you gonna do?
I think, I don't know, was that article by you or by John?
I haven't got a clue.
You don't remember either who wrote it, right?
It's been so long ago that I have no recollection.
I think it was about the love and hate relationship with CSDB.
Yeah, it was probably me then.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
we have a search function in the homepage. We can have a look.
Yeah. While you're doing that, let's get back to the gaming, and since we were just talking about Doom.
Yeah.
The description for this is: pick up your time machine and travel back to an alternate universe where Doom was never released for PCs, but several years earlier on the humble Amiga 500. And so this is talking about Grind, which is a new FPS powered by the Dread engine, which is an apparently mind-blowing achievement which showcases what was really possible with the Amiga's original hardware. It's currently a work in progress. It has smooth frame rates with full-screen display on just a plain old Amiga 500. Custom high-quality pixel art and assets, fast-paced gaming, story-driven level progression, dark and foreboding steampunk Lovecraftian world to explore. I've seen some footage of it. It looks pretty awesome. It's available at pixelglass.org. We will put the link to that in the description. So if you have an Amiga 500, as I do, you can check out Grind, which actually kind of, in some ways, looks nicer than Doom did.
Ooh.
It's really, yeah, it's
Don't let John Romero hear that.
If Doom hadn't happened and Grind for Amiga had come out instead, we'd all be using Amigas in our daily life because Doom
Are you reading that off somewhere or did they write it on the homepage?
I'm saying that.
Okay.
Because Doom is what really kicked off the PC market. I mean, Windows. There were, you had Windows, you had Mac, you had PC. Mac, Amiga. You had a bunch of different platforms, and the thing that really solidified PC as the thing was Doom. Everybody wanted Doom, and Doom was for the longest time limited to the PC.
Right.
So and there's even been documentaries, Amiga documentaries that say like Doom is what killed the Amiga because the Amiga was made for like platform games essentially, and
But
Doom
here's the thing
was
though.
3D.
Here's the thing though. After Doom killed the Amiga, there was a Doom port on the Amiga.
Gloom, yes.
No,
required
there's
VGA.
an actual
Yes.
a Doom release for Amiga after the Amiga has been killed.
Yes. Yeah, Doom was eventually released for pretty much everything.
So it is actually possible.
Except the 264 with the Super Speed. Yeah, after a while they did release it, but yeah, I mean if this had come out first, if this had beaten Doom to the punch, this Amigas would be in. I feel like Amiga would have lasted longer because this could have been like that game. Also, since we're we have a Mastodon account, and I don't know how often we use it. I don't use mine very often.
I use mine constantly.
But
and all posts on Instagram for Scene World are automatically posted to Mastodon as well.
Well, Mastodon for the Apple II version 1.8 has been released.
Wow.
So, yeah, it features two-factor authentication, infinite scrolling, profile view, thread view for toots with replies, image viewer, favoriting, retweeting, toot writing, toot editing, bookmarks, polls.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at the website. What people say about it. I will never use this, yet I love that it exists. Another person said absolutely pointless, beautiful work.
So I had to look. The opinion article about CSDB was released in 2015 by you, AJ.
Of course.
In an article called CSDB Borked.
Yep.
In issue 25 of Scene World.
Yes.
Sorry, 24 of Scene World.
I recall. I vaguely recall that.
Mm-hmm. I remember we internally we discussed if we should release it because it could cause some shitstorm and nothing happened.
Yeah. Well, now if we want to retoot that on Mastodon on our Apple II, we've got the software to do it.
Awesome. Now we do a belated shitstorm.
Yes.
Awesome.
And then my final bit of stuff, and it is also Apple related, which is that the Blue SCSI transfer utility has been released for the 68K Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So that runs the Blue SCSI transfer. It's a Mac app that runs on OS Mac. Yeah, well, it wasn't even Mac OS. It was just OS. Their system, system 6 through 9, that allows you to pull files and put them, pull and put files directly from an SD card.
Awesome.
So that's lets you get rid of your old SCSI hard drive, and
which we shouldn't. We should do more new. We should do at least not more, but at least new floppy clones.
I would love to have new floppy clones.
And not just tossing out the old floppies, because if we toss out floppies and have no new floppy drives, how do we read the old media anymore? We can't, because there are no drives anymore.
You're correct. You're correct.
Well, that's bullshit. Don't toss out your SCSI drive. Just saying it.
Well, I'm just saying that a lot of SCSI drives are not working so good anymore because they're old.
That's why I said we need replacement mechanics.
Yeah, right. That would be nice to be able to do. But in the absence of that, if you have a old 68K Mac and 68K Macs and early PowerPC Macs ran on SCSI. I mean, everything was SCSI, and so if you've got your power your Quadra 660 AV like I used to have, that had a SCSI hard drive, my 2.1 gigahertz quantum fireball, not gigahertz, my 2.1 gigabyte quantum fireball SE, that was major storage.
I had IDE versions of that.
Yeah.
Which now is called, by the way, PATA, Parallel ATA. But back in the day it was called IDE.
I know, yeah.
So they totally changed the name of the interface.
Yep.
For some reason. Yeah.
But yeah, so everything, the CD-ROM drive and the hard drive were all SCSI.
Which is funny, because originally it's called SCSI, but everybody says SCSI.
Yeah, but also SCSI is also what was in the CMD HD series. They used SCSI drives. I know. So if if you have a CMD drive, again, these SCSI to SD or whatever, adapters are really useful, because it's one thing to floppy drives are, they're accessing that data will be difficult. But giving us a replacement for failing SCSI drives, the interface still exists. The drives are failing. So this gives us an alternative, so we don't need to use that failing drive, but we can still use the interface that exists on the machine.
Still, I would prefer to have a few drives around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would. And SCSI, they famously were far more reliable than IDE at the time. They lasted longer. In fact, I still have a couple that still work fine. And they're well over 20 years old. So I mean that's they're good. Quantum especially made good drives.
I know they were very famous in their IDE versions.
Yeah.
On the PC as well.
Yeah.
SCSI on the PC world was mostly used for early CD-ROM drives and servers.
Yeah. It was also, I think SCSI was used on the Mac, on not the Mac. I'm sorry, on Amiga as well, for certain things.
I don't know.
Certain add-ons like on the A500, with the sidecar expansion, they later on they used IDE for like the A500, not the A5, the 1200 and whatnot. But early on the 500, I believe that they used SCSI drives, because that was one of the more that took off first, and then IDE came afterwards, I think. But don't quote me on that.
Anyway,
really early in the morning.
Anyway. Yeah, for me it's 1:30, so anyway, afternoon starting. Anyway, So other news, Nordish Sound released a C64 mixtape and mix CD. Nordish Sound is the composer who did for the last Steamworld issue 33 the Chinese Blossom tune. So I put a link to that in the podcast description as well. And also, what also has been released is SNK versus Capcom for the Commodore 64.
Ooh.
So it's a better Street Fighter, a very much better Street Fighter. Yeah. And
a very much better Street Fighter.
a very much better Street Fighter, yeah.
Very nice.
And also, Grundislav Games, the very known creator of point-and-click adventures, for HES, Adventure Game Studio games, Grundislav Games released a new website. So the URL is grundislav.games. And it was actually one thing I suggested to him during that time we did an interview for the podcast. I said, why don't you get a .games homepage address?
Yeah.
And then he did. Grundislav.games. Nice,
Very
isn't
nice.
it? Yeah. And also, one of our guests in the past, Dixon Wu, who is founder and organizer of retro.hk, is in a feature in the Only Live Once magazine in the People of Hong Kong chapter, speaking about preservation of video game history in Hong Kong.
Right.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, a while back, Flappy Bird has been released for Excel. So if you want to do more with Excel than just spreadsheets, Flappy Bird might be your thing. And then there's another topic. At Gamescom, Cyberpunk 2077 had their Phantom Liberty storyline DLC.
Right.
And here's the thing that's very common, not uncommon, that CD Projekt Red is doing now. And they raise these system requirements for the base game alongside the DLC.
Really?
That means if you bought the game 3 years ago when Cyberpunk 2077 was released on the PC, and it can happen that even if you don't have the DLC of Phantom Liberty, and you get new updates for the game, for the base game, it will not work at some point anymore. Because in their press statement, they write, one of the reasoning is they want to give a better and more modern experience to the game overall. And that means in order to be able to do that, they will raise the system requirements.
Right.
Which, of course, caused a bit of a shitstorm, because some PC gamers said, that's bullshit, I paid for a game that I now cannot play anymore in the future. Which kind of makes sense, yeah?
Right.
So, well, for example, I had a 1650 GeForce in my PC. It's no longer supported. I had it installed on an hard disk drive, no longer supported. The VRAM requirements changed for the minimum low resolution game preset to 6 GB from 4, and for the high from 6 to 8, and for ultra now you need 12 GB.
Right.
that also means not only is the 1650 GeForce GTX no longer supported, but also the VRAM requirements have, well, kind of almost doubled. That means even if I would have been stuck with the old card, I wouldn't be able to run it anymore because memory would go out. So luckily I got a 1070 Katana, and the 1070 Katana is the most rarest graphics card on the market because it's the only 1070 GTX card that is single slot, because I don't have enough space in my tower.
Right.
So your PC from 3 years ago might not be able to run the game in the future anymore. And here's the thing. I didn't get the Steam version. I got the GOG Galaxy version. And the GOG Galaxy client does not allow to change location of your installed games. That means I had to go through the process of uninstalling it and reinstalling it on a different drive. So in order to move it from the HDD to an SSD.
Right.
While in Steam, you can just say move game files, and it will move the game files to the new location. So CD Projekt Red, you have to improve here. If you change the requirements of your game to require an SSD from now on, you also should make it easy for in your client for people to put the game to a different drive in order to meet the requirements. They also state in the press announcement that it might still work at some places in the future, but they are not testing it anymore on hardware below the new system requirements.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your opinion? Do you think it's an understandable move, or is it total bullshit to actually raise the system requirements 3 years in the game's lifetime?
I mean, if the game is unless they're adding significant new content that requires that, I don't think. Yeah.
It's a base game also, so you can rule that out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that's right. Then they, whatever the game was when you bought it, the system requirements should not go up. That's just silly. You know, if I buy a game and then, you know, a year later I can't play it anymore because I haven't upgraded my computer, that's silly.
That's also the first time I heard a PC game doing that.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know the bad press Cyberpunk 2077 got when it was released initially, and instead of CD Projekt Red going lowballing, they start another controversial move.
Right.
Like they want bad press or whatever. They actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't totally make sense because we are talking here about the base game. So they are not making any new content to the base game, obviously, you know.
Yeah, right.
But because of from the development standpoint, I understand it because the DLC has a new storyline. It has a higher system requirements. So you don't need two branches of the game, one for the base games to still run on the old hardware, and one for the DLC running on the new hardware. But still, that's not the fault of the gamer, right? That's
not at all.
That's your own choice as a developer to increase the system requirements for the DLC.
Yeah.
Which is also something that I never heard of other PC games. I mean, I got a few DLCs, you know, new storylines for games I own on Steam or other platforms, and never ever have I heard like, oh yes, the new DLC with the new storylines has a higher hardware requirements.
Yeah, no, that's silly.
I mean, normally
Because normally again, if the new DLC or whatever, it still runs within the engine of the game, which which is unless they're retooling the entire game engine,
which is
with
exactly
this
what they're
DLC.
doing. They sound like,
Yeah.
Exactly,
again,
it sounds
still-
like that. Yeah.
Again, still there should be a version that works with the your original purchase.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly my thought. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I didn't get my hand on one of the rarest graphics card by luck, I wouldn't be able to play the game down the road anymore. I would have to build a new PC for a game that I purchased full price 3 years ago.
Yep.
Absolutely bullshit, but that's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not starting a trend somewhere, because that would make things very ugly, That would things very ugly, like, hey, who cares,
Yeah.
I mean, there are other examples, like one game that I see all the time notifications. You play a lot of No Man's Sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did a lot of updates in the last 7 years since release, 2016.
But they haven't changed the requirements.
Exactly. Yes.
In fact, if anything, they've increased the amount. I mean, it runs on Switch. And it runs. There's a Mac version now, and it's again, like, I've got an old machine that it technically doesn't that I don't quite meet the system requirements, but it runs fine on my machine.
Yeah.
So, I've got the built-in the GeForce 650. And when I use the built-in GPU, it looks like I'm looking into a bottomless pit of chaos. but I've got an eGPU, and that handles it fine.
Yeah. I also see that as a problem. Normally, you try to optimize your game to run as much possible configurations. Yeah, and not make it less compatible to older hardware.
Exactly.
They are going backwards in compatibility by requiring better graphics card, more VRAM, and faster CPU. And I mean, one thing that I saw in other games like Starfield also, modern games require SSDs now, because they are loading so much game textures and so on from the spinning drive that any spinning drive would take.
Oh, it'll take forever.
20 minutes forever, to load it. And you actually, since they are doing this hardware loading, texture loading thing during the gameplay, your game would turn into a slideshow. That I understand.
Yes.
But boy, not everybody is upgrading their PC just for a game they bought three years ago. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's just silly.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, that would have been my last news item already.
That's what I got.
Awesome. So now our news section is as big as the interview part itself.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe
anyway,
down a bit.
Now let's jump to Singapore.
Yes.
And talk to Alison from Kunlun.
Indeed.
Yep. About Club Koala. Bye-bye. Today we have another guest, as always. Today we are talking to Alison, who is head of marketing from Kunlun. down there in Beijing, China, and you are responsible for the product Club Koala, which we will be talking about today. So nice to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
Nice to help me join your show.
Yeah, thank you. Nice. So let's talk a bit, because that's what we usually do with our guests at first. Your history in working in the computer or gaming, I would say edutaining business. I don't know.
Is this edutainment? Would this be considered edutainment? Because this feels more like it's kind of like a beefed up Minecraft almost. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think I consider our game as both entertaining and classic gaming type, because we are a simulation game.
What was your starting point? I mean, with computers and
just cut out. Say it again.
I mean, what was your starting point with computers and in the industry? Perhaps you can talk a bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. So my name is Alison. I've actually working for entertainment and gaming industry for over 5 years. Before that, I was working for education industry, and I joined entertainment industry, or so-called entertainment industry, is when I was working for my previous company, ByteDance. So I worked there for 3 years, and I accumulated a lot of experience in terms of bring the fun and engaging content, especially for our overseas customers. And then I joined my current company, Kunlun, because I think the idea about creating a gaming universe is really fun, because I see the success of TikTok as it lowers the standard and lower the bar of creating short videos. And for our game, I think the one thing that interests me the most is I think we can lower the bar of creating games. So that's my original motivation for joining the company and joining this project.
Yeah, well, I hope you don't mind that we are asking all those questions, but we are trying to get the broad picture of our guests and what they are doing in the industry. So we are always asking, not only focused on this one product, but also getting a whole picture. Probably not very common for you to be asked what your starting point was, but this is how we do our interviews. Awesome. So, I mean, now the idea was also pitched to me at Gamescom, actually, at least, that not only are you able to create your own not only your own university, no, but I would say universe. Sorry, your own universe in the game, but also you would have AI companions to
that run off of GPT that are driven by that, so that they're not just like your standard NPC that might have one or two things to say. You know, like they actually, like, you know, they can interact with you and have actual like conversations and stuff with you.
Yes, I think except for the editor, I think another shining point of this game is the AI NPCs. That's true that these AI NPCs are connected to GPT models that can make NPC interactions more organic and more human-like, that you can interact with our AI NPCs like you are talking to real people. I think the best part is like we make our AI NPC that can have an even more immersive gaming experience, because they are not just GPT. They are not just a random talking model that you found online, but it actually fit in the whole gameplay. And the best part is not only you can interact with your AI NPC, but you can interact with your friends' AI NPCs.
Oh.
And yeah, yeah,
Okay.
get to affect your friends' gameplay as well. Because each player of our game is given an island, and anything can happen on this island, and your friend's island too. If you visit their island frequently enough, you can affect how their gameplay will be once they join the game. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing also that was interest me is what the target age group for this product, because at Gamescom it was pitched to me like a safe space for small kids and grown-ups.
It's not for small kids, but it's for so right now we identify our game as 13 plus.
13 plus, so teenager. Okay.
Yeah.
Teenagers, yes. So that we want the game to be, of course, the game should be able to be played by all age. It's not like limited to a certain age group. And I think people of all ages should have the fun of playing our games. But it is for 13 plus. I think teenagers will find our game more engaging and fascinating, because they can not only interact with players, but AI NPCs as well. And I think teenagers, not only teenagers, but these talented people can start to create things. I think for anyone who has a passion to create things can enjoy the fun of our game the most.
Okay. And the idea, the whole concept of having, I guess you call them islands, self-created universes. And you say you have also AIs. Every player has an AI companionship. And I wonder, this concept is pretty new. I think there is nothing like that elsewhere so far. And I also saw, because I'm also watching some YouTube, obviously, where people report about China. AI and this artificial intelligence is currently pretty big in China. So every company tries to advertise their product containing something that is AI driven. So I wonder, this idea of Club Koala, was that rooted in the trend of AI, or did you have the idea before ChatGPT and all those things became hyped?
Okay, that's actually a good question, and one because I'm currently in China, so that I've been noticing not only gaming industry, but actually a lot of industry are starting to utilize AI technology to boost productivity as well. For our company, which is Kunlun, our company actually start to develop our own language model almost the same time as OpenAI, because right now we already have our language model that has been commercialized, but it's only being used in China because the whole language model is based in Mandarin. So I'm not gonna say that we have a better product compared to other competitors overseas. However, our language model has been developed for I think 3 to 4 years, or even earlier before that, because I just joined this company before I joined the company. They have been start to developing this language model, because our founder and our CEO has a great vision in terms of AI's future for helping not only gaming industry, but actually other industry as well. This is the reason that Kunlun is not only developing AI-powered game, but also we developed AI social app, AI game, AI music, AI search engine, which is currently being utilized in China only, and also other AI products as well.
So you could say Club Koala is like your first tip into the international market.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the reason why you actually started promoting it via Gamescom, for example, using an American PR company, I guess.
Oh, okay. So yes, yes. So Club PR did help us a lot in the promotion of Club Koala, not only at Gamescom but in other ways as well. So that's true. We would love to open our market in North America, but for sure we want to open the market in Europe as well. And the reason that we didn't decide to open the launch the game in China mainly because right now the policy of gaming industry in mainland China is kind of strict. I think we need to work on more to open the domestic market.
Huh. That's pretty interesting. So now we get the whole picture because you have to understand over here, at least from my standpoint as doing this podcast, it's really hard. It's really hard to get in touch with the American game industry directly. Usually it stops at the point where like, oh, I have to talk English. No, we are not doing English interviews. So so being approached from the other side is quite interesting. So that's why I'm asking what the whole landscape is. So currently you are trying to make an international product via while previously you only did, as I said, or not only, but mainly did AI-related apps for the Chinese market. So, this is like your jump to the international global gaming industry, kind of.
So I might not be clearly described our company's products and the industries that they have been working on. So not only that we have self-developed so many AI language models, but actually our company has like almost 20 years history. And when we launch games, we have launched games before, not only in China, but in other countries as well. Some RPG games and some like board games. So for sure, this is our first challenge to create a simulation game. This is our first time. However, we did have a great history in terms of developing RPG games, which launched in mainland China and some board games in the overseas market as well. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And also what I read in the PR material and so on, you are soon starting an open beta of Club Koala?
Yes.
So let's talk a bit about this, perhaps. So what's the next steps in the product launch?
Okay, so our most important step would be the beta test, and we are working really hard to make the beta to go as we scheduled, which is January 2024. I really hope that it could catch up the schedule. Yeah. And this beta test, we will open only to our Discord server members, because Discord server, which has been created since the beginning of this game, there are certain members that has been growing with the game for quite a long time, and they got suggestions about our games, some of our games gameplay, and they actually designed some paths for our game and some avatars for our game. So this beta test will be Discord members only. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's the product will be very community driven.
Yes, that's true.
Awesome. Okay. So now, I mean, I saw the picture, I saw the videos and the promo material. So perhaps let's describe for the audience what's your typical, I don't know, if you, I don't know, I would say if you spend 2 hours in the game, what would be the usual gameplay experience like? Let's say you're sitting there and you are starting the game.
Mhm.
What are the first steps you are doing? Perhaps describe a bit the gameplay, I would say.
Okay, so the major gameplay is island construction, that you get the chance to collect resources and do fishing, gardening, and cooking on the island, and you get to building your houses, and all the architectures on your island can be built by yourself, and you can decorate your island as well with so many plants and items, and you can decorate the inside of these architectures as well. If players don't like the items or the decorations provided by our designers, they get the chance to design items by themselves, and they can also utilize items that are shared by other players as well on the marketplace. So basically, the first step of all the players will be like create your island, because when you join the game, you're given an empty island with AI NPCs in their very original model or very original status. And then you get to talk with the AI NPCs while you are constructing your island. The AI NPCs start to learn you, and then they will play and act the way that you would love them to be. So basically, the first tier of the gameplay will be the gaming experience on the island. And we want the island to be a simulation game, but in a very different type. It's almost like simulation with role play. Like you can have the AI NPCs to play whomever you want them to. Like they can be your high school classmates, and they can be like hospital staff and things like these, canteen staff. Like all depends on what kind of simulation that you want to experience on your island, and you can always change that. The AI NPCs not only gonna learn and interact the way that you want them to, but they can memorize things as well. They are truly like real human beings. Yes, and that's the first tier. And then you can navigate other players' islands as well, because you can visit your friend's island, and some friends might have create a different island with different roleplay games that you can interact with their AI NPC. And if after the island exploration part is finished, you can play some mini games. These mini games are like treasures. You can find them like on your island and on your friend's island as well. These mini games, so basically they are created by our designers, but you have this editor that you can develop games totally different than the ones that our developers developed. And you can put these mini games connected with items on your island, and then you can play the mini games and create the mini games. That's the second tier of our gameplay.
Ah, very interesting. So I just have in my head like it's a mix of concepts we saw from other games, like as I said, mini games, and then putting it all together. Interesting. And
Plus
also
the sort of open world RPG aspect, that
exactly.
you get from like something like remember that old Second Life game from I think it's still around, but I don't know if anyone
Linden
plays
Labs
it.
from
Yeah,
Sweden.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to that effect, Extra Life kind of went. Second Life, I'm sorry, not Extra Life. Extra Life is a totally different thing. Second Life kind of went downhill as far as being family friendly, so to speak. Um, do you have are there safeguards in, because we're talking something for 13 up, and are there plans to kind of like prevent it from going the direction that Second Life went, where like there were some truly raunchy places you could visit?
Yes, and we just decided to put that into our game, I think from last month. because we were talking about like what kind of challenges and quests that we shall have the players to experience on each island, and then we decide to have these. So we kind of want to have a balance between an RPG and a simulation, because if it's an only simulation game, it will lose some fun of this. I would say it's an amazing world. And then we decide to put some quests and challenges on each island that are designed by the developers for sure. However, all the game levels have AI NPC participate in it. So the journey will be very different from the standard design of our game developers. Yeah.
Right. There's also some and again, talking about different concepts of this, there are also some like for the phone on iOS and Android. I see a lot of stuff recently about AI companions that use a Chat GPT model or something, and there's a lot of people get really attached to these things, and then when the companies say, "Hey, we're gonna roll back some of the weirder parts of this," people get real upset. So again, it's like as you mentioned, you just kind of, I guess, put in like a limit to how kind of weird it gets. But yeah, it is a lot like these different kind of disparate bits of role playing and open world creation and simulation and kind of sticking this all together, which is really interesting to me, because that's something you don't see very much, and with the way that Chat GPT and these other language models are progressing, you really can have like realistic, real conversations with what is essentially like a computer, a simulated person.
Yeah, I totally got you. And even myself sometimes feel like so surprised about how AI NPC, because I got the chance to talk with them like every day. So sometimes even so I have to share this. The thing that happened the other day is when we were talking to AI NPCs for them to collaborating with us, because we need to shoot some short videos and post on our YouTube channel. And then this girl NPC called Marina, she just turned that down, like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore because you keep telling me to do this. And then our engineer to check her like back end data and found her sensitivity got up high, and this all evolves by herself. So basically, they have the capability to have emotional evolve, like based on the conversations, which is so surprising for all of us, because her emotion, yeah. So yeah, this is very surprising even for us and the engineers as well.
Also kind of scary at some point, because you lost control in this very second.
AI is about to take over.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
It starts with the AI saying no, and then progresses to Terminator.
Yeah.
Yes, because we all know that they can talk like a real human, but we don't see them. When we were talking to ChatGPT, we definitely don't see them as a human being. However, with very human-like appearance, and they have the emotion, like emotion changes during your conversations. It feels so real.
Yeah, right.
That's true. I mean, this AI thing really can develop into strange things also. I mean, I remember Facebook having to shut down theirs because the AI started to create their own languages. And that was the point where the engineer said, we don't want this anymore. And so it can go sideways.
And I think Microsoft tried something with that on Twitter, and it took all of like 5 hours before it became a full-on Nazi.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah, so I mean, there's like it's there's some there's some like amount of you need to be careful with some of that stuff.
exactly. I mean. Let's be honest. If I was 13 and I had an AI NPC to work with, I definitely would try to check his boundaries. If I
Oh
can,
yeah, good lord, yeah.
yeah, you know, if I can get him doing saying something adulty stuff, you know, and so that's why it's important to have some safeguards in the place.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now it's actually a good question. If you go international, you also have the problem, or well, the feature that there are different there are cultural differences across the world. You know, I guess in Asia or India or Europe, you have different concepts of what is considered okay and not okay. So, have you thought about that? How you make it appealing to all cultures, or I mean, I see this concept as a chance to bring people together, you know, especially as a young age, you know, from all cultures, but also it has conflicting potential. What are your thoughts on that? I
And
wonder.
you're saying in that some cultures might think this is might not accept this for what it is. They might say like this is you've created a you know a demon monster or something, and
Oh
it's
no. So I want to follow up on the previous talking point, and then I'll move on to
Sure,
the
sure.
different cultural ones. So
Take your time.
I don't want people to get scared about AI because the previous example might not be a good one. But I just want people to see like how AI NPCs are different from the traditional classic tactic NPC characters because they have emotions, they have the capability to think and behave like human beings. However, we have to notice that they are not real human beings. They are just characters that in gameplay that can level up your simulation experience in games. That's all AI. The reason why AI technologies are added to our game.
but where
And
does it when do they become people? But no, it is a good point in that with a lot of with most gaming, the NPCs, they serve a purpose in that, like, they have one or two things that they do, and then after that it's like they just if I didn't take an hour to the knee, something that's just repeated over and over. And to have like a dynamic NPC that, even if they don't serve a purpose after their time is up, to still be able to answer you in a dynamic way and still be able to hold a conversation would, I think, for a lot of games, would make that game so much more immersive for the player, just to be able to, like, know that this guy over here isn't going to give me the same answer every time I go and talk to him.
Mhm. And yeah, and you know that the game is created by the idea of our CEO, who is also the father of a daughter. He actually wanted to create a game for his kids to be able to play with. So I think the reason that he thinks that his daughter is very suitable for the game as a player is because, like, as from a father's point of view, he wants his daughter, which is a little bit introvert, to have a place to freely speak and communicate. So, sometimes like teenagers in high schools or junior high schools, they are experiencing this stage about getting to know people, like
Oh
not
yeah.
like as kids, but building real connections with the surrounding people, and they might find a little bit awkward or not that confident to speak up and to communicate with others. So so this is the reason why the CEO designed these AI characters, so that give his daughter a place for his daughter to actually being able to confidently speak up and communicate with people, with other people with AI NPCs.
Well,
so yeah,
yeah,
to rehearse, to practice. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is the reason in the first place that we want the AI NPCs to be added to our game. And for sure, like people are gonna be worried about like whether AI can be like real human or replace human. I don't think so, because although that they has the capability to start to be to behave a little bit like human beings or like to think like human beings, but still like human beings has the real creative capability, which can never be replaced by AI, I think.
Let's
Right.
hope so. Let's
Plus
hope
they
so.
don't have robot bodies to murder us all.
That's another story here.
But yeah, no, you make a good point in that for a lot of adolescents, it can be difficult to and I went through this phase. I'm sure Jörg did. When it's tough to move into a new town and make new friends
Yeah.
and whatnot, and to have kind of like a place where you can speak as yourself and not be judged, and have like kind of like a support group, like a peer group, even if it's an
Yeah.
AI group, somebody that you can interact with and kind of like understand and learn how to you know kind of like you said, practice interactions with people.
Yes. To practice and to communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, something that Jurgen and I could probably benefit from before we do
Yes.
podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when you do human interactions, there's always a social part of it, and as AJ mentioned earlier, you have to be considering that people might get too attached to their AI companion.
Why
So
though? Be as
yeah,
attached as you want. I mean, kids who have been attached to their stuffed animals and toys and stuff. I mean, I've got my Commodore 64 from 1986 for Christ's sake. Like be as attached as you want to it. That's it's just another. It's another form of imagination and playing and whatnot as a kid. And as an
yeah.
adult, I don't think I've grown up. At least I try
Yeah.
not to.
I think AJ answered this question perfectly.
yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, but in the end, of course, Club Koala has to be moderated in a way, by somebody, because as we mentioned at an earlier point, people can still go rogue and try to overtake the island or whatever. You
Hmm.
really there are always hostile components in any game. I mean, and even you will be facing with evil people that try to take advantage of whatever and try to go rogue. So
Well, and maybe that's just comes down to quarantining that person's island, so that they can't, people can't go to it and they can't leave it. Because if they leave it, or if people go to it, it's going to be they're going to be exposed to hate speech or something like that. Like that's and I'm sure there are ways to identify that within the AI. Like the AI can say like this guy ain't right. That's not. You know, let's talk about something else. Like and veer the guy
yeah,
away from whatever bizarre things he's trying to talk
Yes.
about.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, we will have the censoring. We are currently actually developing the censoring system to identify like inappropriate languages and inappropriate expressions in the game. And we will like has policy to be executed or when things like these happens because it's a 13 plus game. We did want to build a very safe and healthy place for all the players to enjoy the fun of the game instead of like make the island or make this game into a place that is not is filled in with like inappropriate things. Yeah.
So now let me asking one thing from a European standpoint. As you say, you also want to enter the European market. I mean, over here we have this general different law about data protection and privacy protection, and some products even consider those laws we have in Europe so hostile that Mark Zuckerberg didn't start his service Threads, which is a competitor of Twitter, and it's not available in Europe because of our privacy.
I wish it wasn't available in the United States because it sucks.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, right. But I mean, what's your stance on that? I mean, did you think about how to get it into place, or will you work with an external partner to take care of the European part of the game? What's your plan there? I guess you are not trying to exclude the European Union, right?
Of course not. So for sure, we will definitely follow the policy of the country that we are gonna launch the game, not only North America, but European countries as well. That's for sure. And in terms of data, we did have Opera. We do have Opera as our consultant. We will totally follow any policy and other rules that made by the country that we are gonna launch our game. And right now we are actually have been working on this part for quite a while, and we do know that Europe Union even has much more strict rules not much more strict rules, but yes, a very strict rule in terms of data save, and we will totally follow the policy made by the EU. Yes.
Okay. So what's the milestone planning now? You said the beta testing will start in January, and what will happen after? If you can talk about it. If it's a secret, then don't tell us.
And can we be beta testers? Because I would love to try this.
Well, of course, I will send invitation email to both of you by myself when the beta launches.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. I will.
And I will give you very limited.
Yeah.
I will give you some limited items. So, for example, I will give you a dragon if you want that.
Awesome.
Sure.
Or I might set your AI NPCs very different compared to others. Okay.
Perhaps that little monster AJ talked about earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So after beta, we will collect our players' feedback, especially the ones that have been creating and growing with the game for quite a while. And we will make some changes, maybe based on the users' feedback. And also we will see whether we will have another major change in next year. Because right now we are developing the editor, and we are thinking maybe we can even improve our editor to another level, because our So our editor also use a lot of AI technologies, and there has been a huge advancement in even the coding area for game development in the past few months. So we were thinking like maybe it's time for us to even develop an even better editor, because we actually see our game not as a gaming project but as a gaming platform. We want it to be a huge platform with multiple tools for players to utilize with, so that this work can be totally defined by players themselves. So we will, and I think we will like do some major changes to our editor as well, so that player can has more resources and more tools to actually develop an even cooler gaming world. And then we will do another round, which we call it like public test. And this time we will actually be public to people who are just new to the game. They might never experience Club Koala before, and they didn't actually join the community to participate in the creation of the game. And we will see how that goes. And then hopefully, if everything goes as what we expected, we will launch the game by the end of next year, 2024.
So basically before Christmas.
Nice.
Yes, before Christmas.
Awesome. That's so exciting to hear, you know, from your standpoint, because I mean, over here, I guess it's the same for HA in America. We often hear in the media and stuff like, oh, Chinese is just copying stuff, ideas from other places.
I've never heard that.
I mean, yeah, you never heard that?
No.
I mean,
usually from us, it's China is where all the stuff is made. Like China is where all the stuff is invented.
Right. But I mean, there was some cases with in the mobile sector. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Huawei, for example, is even forbidden in America or something.
What is it?
Some places Huawei is forbidden in America.
Oh yeah, but that had nothing to do with that. That had to do with I don't remember what that had to do with. That was yeah, I have no idea. That was some politics nonsense.
Yeah. Anyway, it's nice to hear that you come up with a very interesting product that is really giving a lot to society, and I think that's also one of the key things of Club Koala. Bring something to the society, a safe space, an entertaining world. That's amazing, and I hope as soon as the product is released, or as you said, I would say open testing, open beta for the public, that we can catch up and talk about what's currently happening, if you like, because I really would like to follow up on this afterwards.
For sure.
when it's released. This is like totally amazing, and I'm really looking forward to having, well, the possibility to look into it, even though I'm not, as you said, part of your Discord community. So I
can
probably
join now.
Yeah, as I said, I probably have to join now. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, just search Club Koala and you can join our Discord server. It's in Halloween theme right now. Yes.
Awesome.
I've got the invite and the email, but it opened in the web browser, and I got perplexed and didn't actually.
Okay.
I'm going to do that now.
I will look at it later.
Well, because normally Discord links I thought opened in Discord, but
no. Invite.
No. If I hit accept, then it opens in Discord.
Exactly.
All right, I'm doing that right now. There we go. Now,
awesome.
And then Discord is updating because that's all Discord ever does.
Yeah, because Discord also has a web version, and it first tries to access that. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. All right, amazing. Yeah, super. So we got almost an hour full. That's super amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome. So talk to us then, right?
Yes. Thank you very much.
It's so great to talk to both of you. Bye-bye.
You
Have
too.
a nice day.
Great talking to you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.